Hello, Centralia. I'm Shane Lothar.
And I'm Rachel Roddy.
And this is Centralia On Air. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week on the show, we had KC head softball coach Tori Crow in studio to talk about her coaching career at KC and the upcoming softball season. But that was last week, and this is this week.
That's right. On today's show, we have health and fitness coach Jayme Godoyo. Jayme stopped in to tell us about her job and some of the ways we can all live a healthier lifestyle. Jayme Godoyo, thank you for being here today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh gosh, this question always throws me off, and I'm not really sure why, but I am a health and fitness online coach here. Well, I mean, it's online, so it's everywhere. I live here in Centralia. I also am a fundraiser for a nonprofit, and I cover a pretty substantial portion of Illinois, Missouri, and Florida, actually. So I spend the majority of my time doing one of those two things. I'm married, and my husband has 4 kids. So 2 of them are grown, and 2 of them are still in the junior high age. So we spend a lot of time tracking them down and watching volleyball games and all those good things that come along with pre-teenagers too.
Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah.
Your hands are full. Okay, well, we did a little research on you, a little background check.
All right.
So tell us about PIO and Turbo Kick.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yeah, so I teach both of these classes. So both of them are formats created by Beachbody, and they were created by Shalene Johnson, who was kind of looking for something different, I guess, is her main way of saying that's not like, going for a run on the treadmill, which I used to run all the time, and really just wanted something different. I started PIO as it's a program on a DVD, that kind of thing, just as something to kind of supplement my running when I was training a lot for half marathons. And I loved it. I loved it so much that I'm like, why am I beating myself up running, 10 miles a day? So I started just following the program and just noticed a lot of differences in myself. And so after about, I'd say 3 or 4 months of that, I decided to go get certified to teach it. So PIO is a combination of like the best parts of Pilates and yoga with a little bit of cardio mixed in with it. So it's not like you're holding a downward dog for 30 seconds and really breathing into it. It's really constant flow and constant movement with body weight. So it gives you a lot of definition that you don't get from just traditional, lifting weights or something like that.
Okay.
Turbo is a completely different animal. It is cardio kickboxing, basically set to music. So it's really funny because we just finished up round 80, which was 80s music, which was kind of fun. But it's just constant. It's really high intensity. There's HIIT training in the middle of it, which is high intensity interval training, if the audience doesn't know that. But it's really a constant workout and a really high calorie burn.
Okay. PIO sounds a little bit more intense than Pilates or yoga.
Yeah.
Do you still use like a yoga mat?
You do. Everything is traditional yoga thoughts when you walk in. I mean, people take their shoes off and you have a yoga mat, and there's kind of like some music playing. It's a little bit faster music probably than what yoga studios would play, but basic concepts are pretty similar, yeah.
Okay. Any favorite yoga mat brands or any recommendations?
I do, actually. I wish I could remember the name of the brand, but I prefer, and if you didn't find this in the research about me, I'm kind of an Amazon junkie. So like anything I reference can probably be bought on Amazon, but I prefer the rubber mats. I don't buy like the ones from Walmart because I like the thicker mats, but the ones that have kind of a rubber texture to them are going to be a lot better for holding your poses. And once you start sweating, which you will do a lot in PIO, you won't slip all over the place. So
okay. Good to
look
know.
for something with the rubber texture.
Cool.
Okay, you're listening to Centralia On Air. We have fitness instructor Jayme Godoyo in studio. Okay, so Jayme, what's the first thing I should be doing in the morning for a healthy start to the day? Tell us about your cold water trick.
My cold water trick. So there's a lot of discrepancies about this. Some people think, you should drink warm water as soon as you wake up, or you should drink a water with lemon, or whatever the case is. Honestly, my firm belief is if you're drinking water as soon as you wake up, as long as you're drinking about 8 to 10 ounces, that's great, because that's a great start to your day. What I've really found for myself is I have, and I know that people can't see this, but I have this little shaker water bottle that holds 25 ounces, and I have 4 of them. And so my goal, as soon as I wake up, I have these in the refrigerator the night before, and so that it's really cold when I wake up, because I tend to think that cold water kind of gets things flowing in your body better. And like I said, there's no science or anything behind that. There may be, but I don't know what it is. But I just think cold water for me personally works better, and that's what I tell people a lot, especially if you're not a water drinker, because it's usually easier to get that habit started. But I go through I have one of these I want finished before I even can allow myself a cup of coffee. So it's almost like my coffee is a reward for getting in my first 25 ounces of water, and then it just kind of sets the day off on the right foot. So then I have to have another one before I eat lunch, and then 2 more in the afternoon. So it breaks it down, so it's not like you feel like you're waterlogged all day.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I've heard that that first glass of water can actually have a lot of the same effects as the first cup of coffee. So
yeah, it's true. It really does. I mean, I think especially with the cold, I think that's part of it, is it just wakes me up better. I just start to feel like, okay, it's time to get moving. Whereas before I did that, it'd be like just slugging around all morning and that kind of thing. But the trick with water is you really want to aim to get half of your weight in ounces of water per day. So like for a 160-pound person, they would want to aim for 80 ounces of water a day. Now, for every 30 minutes of exercise you're adding onto that, you want to add another 8 ounces. So typically what I'll do is really shoot for 100 to 120 ounces, which I know sounds like a lot of water, but I promise, like, once you get used to it, your body, you start to feel when you're thirsty and really crave that.
So do you ever get tired of just plain water? Do you ever add any flavor into it? Once
in a while I will. It really doesn't bother me to drink plain water, but I always have lemons and limes, and I'll throw a slice of lemon or something in it. I have a really bad habit of letting those sit for too long, so I try not to do that, just because nobody likes moldy lemons a couple days later to find in a glass. So I don't do it a lot, but every once in a while.
Yeah.
Are any of the drink mix packets, are some of those healthier than others?
I really try and stay away from those, and the reason is because of all the artificial ingredients and sweeteners in them. I am sure that there are some brands out there that maybe don't have like the high fructose corn syrup or the sucralose or those kinds of things. You'd really have to look, though. I know, a lot of them too will have like red dyes in them, and red dyes are known to be really bad for your health in lots of ways. So I would limit the use of those, but if it really helps you, I would stick with like fresh fruit of some sort and really try and infuse your water. You can also, I have a recipe, if anyone would ever be interested in this, for a lemon ginger water, which sounds probably pretty gross to some people, but sometimes that helps get people kind of drinking that water too.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you already answered it. If the whole 8 glasses of water thing,
yeah,
because we grew up in health class, that was what you did. But you're saying it's less about those 8 glasses and more about you factoring in your weight and your activity and stuff. Yeah,
because everyone's needs are going to be so much different. And like I said, if somebody's pretty sedentary and their main goal is just to get their minimum what they need, to have their body hydrated correctly, it's going to be a lot different than somebody who's spending an hour or 2 in the gym every day. You'd want them to be much more hydrated. So yeah, that 8 glasses of water thing that we've been taught our whole lives is kind of depends on the person.
Yeah, a little too simplified.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you must eat healthy too, right? I'm just assuming.
For the most part.
We were wondering, do you meal plan or anything? How hardcore do you get with your meals?
I really go through phases with this. And the reason is I travel a lot for work. So this is like one of my busy times of year, and it would be silly for me to meal prep a lot, like on a Sunday and then not be home for 5 days. But when I'm really feeling it, I'll menu plan. I don't do meal prep in the traditional sense of like, here are my containers with my meal for lunch and dinner and that. But I do more of like, when I go to the grocery store, I'm probably going to get off tangent because I have so many things I can tell you.
That's like okay.
With lettuce and fruits and vegetables and some of that stuff, I always bring those home and clean them with a vegetable cleaner. You don't ever know, even those prepackaged lettuce things that they'll tell you are pre-washed, don't trust that. You should still be washing them with a vegetable cleaner, and I can recommend some if you want. But I do those kinds of things where as soon as I get home from the grocery store, I clean those, and I have containers that keep them fresh for longer. So then that way, if you want like a salad or something, it's just a matter of grabbing a handful out of the refrigerator. I will do the same things with chicken and beef a lot. I'll cook, like 4 or 5 chicken breasts on a Sunday and grill them, and then they're in the refrigerator to use. So I do some planning, but not crazy with the containers and stuff like that.
Vegetable cleaner, is that, it's not just like a brush, is it?
It's not. So it's a spray, and you can get it on Amazon. Shocking, I know.
Oh my gosh.
But they do have a couple of brands at Schnucks, and they're really difficult to find. They're kind of like on the bottom shelf back by where the lettuce and stuff is, but you spray it on and then let it sit, and then for like 3 minutes or something, and then you'll rinse it all off. And it, honestly, when I first started doing this, I'm like, this is kind of silly. There's no way this is doing anything, but it really keeps your stuff fresh for longer. And I did like a side-by-side on Snapchat one day of like what grapes look like with just water wash and what grapes look like with this cleaner. And it's like all the waxy, residue-y stuff was gone.
Oh,
wow. I missed
firm
that
believer.
Snapchat.
I'll have to do it again.
Okay, so what are some healthy choices we can make? What can we substitute if we want to eat a cheeseburger?
It really depends on the person. So one thing that I'm really interested in and have spent a lot of time kind of researching and actually plan to get certified in this is figuring out what your inflammatory foods are. So like for me, I can't eat a lot. I actually don't eat a lot of fruit. Like fruit is traditionally said to be super healthy for you. You need X amount of servings a day. When I eat grapes, or usually grapes are the biggest culprit, I swell, like my fingers and my toes, like it's inflammatory. So it's the same thing with bread. Like I have bread issues. It's really interesting once people start to really experiment with their diet and figure out what those inflammatory foods are, because if you cut out your inflammatory foods, as long as you're not eating those, you can kind of eat whatever you want. Now, I don't recommend like eating 5,000 calories a day or anything like that, but you can start to kind of modify. There's no traditional, like the fad diets, like I'm not going to name them, but you know what they are, where you're eating lots and lots of protein, but you're eating nothing else, or you're eating nothing but fruits and vegetables and nothing else. I think everyone needs to really experiment with what works for them. Now, if there are modifications that you can make and ingredients that you can watch for, like your high fructose corn syrups. Try and cut those out. You want to try and cut out anything that's got like excessive sugar in it. So your sucraloses, your sucrose, your anything with that ending on it, basically kind of watch for those. And honestly, people don't even realize that those ingredients are in things like bread, peanut butter, things that you would think you can find the wheat version and it's healthy, but you still really have to look for those ingredients. The other thing I always say is try to limit processed food. So anything in those center aisles at the grocery store, you don't want your diet to be all those things, but you can also look for things that are like, I try and say like 5 to 6 ingredients or less. So it's harder than you think. But that's really the kind of things I say, start watching for that, because even your chicken broths or your beef broths or some of these things that you use maybe like in a crock pot recipe that you think, oh, this is going to be super healthy. I'm throwing the chicken in here and I got my broth and that's pretty much it. Like some of those broths even have weird stuff in them that you don't need. So just trying to limit processed food for sure. If you do go out to eat though, one of my biggest things, and I run online accountability groups, and every month I have clients who are like, I have to stop going out with my friends because I can't eat out at restaurants. Well, you can. There are things you can do. So like, let's say, and I don't believe in going to a restaurant and ordering a salad. Like I can make a salad at home. Like I'm not doing that. Now, if salad's your thing, that's awesome. Just try and be picky about what your ingredients are. Maybe ask for a side of olive oil instead of asking for dressing, or bring your own. I am one of those people with my little container of dressing. I'm not going to lie. Those kinds of things. You can also, you can order a cheeseburger don't eat the bun or don't eat the whole bun. Making some of those really small tweaks, especially when you're first kind of learning and trying to be healthier, those are going to be better than just trying to cold turkey, I'm not eating any of this kind of thing. Like, you really have to figure out what's going to work for you. And, you know, like, beef isn't bad and chicken isn't bad. Like, there's no, I'm air quoting for people who can't see me, there's no bad food. It's just finding what works for you and your lifestyle that also isn't going to, like, you know, make your cholesterol high and your heart have issues and those kinds of things. So it's, yeah, there's no one size fits all. And I preach that. Like, people have to know that.
So when you go out, what do you grilled chicken breast, salmon, things like that? You
know, it depends. I hope I'm not going to make people mad, but I normally won't order chicken either, because I'm like, I can make chicken at home. Like, I'm going to probably order like a 6-ounce steak or, and the big thing for me is my meat isn't so much the issue usually. It's normally the sides. Like, I don't do baked potatoes, and I typically won't eat French fries or things like that. I'll usually ask them what their steamed vegetable is for the day and eat that. And I know it sounds super boring, but I like to enjoy the other part of the meal, really. So the side is like, or I might ask for a side salad. A lot of the restaurants now are actually catching on to this. So they might have like baked sweet potatoes, or instead of French fries, they have sweet potato fries. The only other problem with that is, a lot of time, you know, with fried food, you just got to you don't want to eat a ton of fried food. You really want to limit trans fat to 0. Like, you don't want that, but you can eat some of those other things, especially if they're baked. A lot of the restaurants are doing like baked sweet potato fries now, which I think is amazing. Yeah. That's great.
Well, in between meals, people like to snack.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite go-to healthy snacks?
I do, and people ask me this a lot. So I eat a ton of almonds, which is really ridiculous sometimes, because the crunch is really big for me. I should have said this earlier, but I don't eat peanuts. Like, some people will get those mixes where it's a lot of different nuts, but peanuts are super inflammatory for me. But some of them have walnuts and almonds, and I love walnuts too. I have like recipes for different things. I just made these little cheese cracker snacks that are like Cheez-Its, but they're made with real ingredients, that were a pretty big hit. I also I like coconut butter, which a lot of people have never heard of before. It's kind of like peanut butter, but it's coconut, and you can get it on Amazon. But they have different flavors. So there's like a honey pecan pie and cake batter, and like, it's really good, and it's really high fat, but a couple tablespoons of that just to eat it, and like, you're full, because it's high in fat content. I'm trying to think what else. I eat a lot of cheese. Because I just love cheese, and some people can't have dairy, and I can. So I'm like, eating all the dairy. Yeah. Those are my big ones. I eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs. Those are always pretty big success. I occasionally will do like a Greek yogurt, but it's always plain, and it's not the non-fat. It's the real Greek yogurt, which a lot of people can't do. But it is hard. But you got to watch the ingredients on those, because a lot of those have the artificial sweeteners and stuff. But I'll do that with like a little bit of honey and then some nuts in it, and it's pretty good to me. So,
have you ever tried it, Shane?
No, my mom eats it sometimes, but I never. Is it just is it the taste that?
It's kind of bitter. I think
it's bitter a little bit. But you know, the other thing about Greek yogurt that's really cool is like, I use it for sour cream too.
Yeah,
and you don't notice so you don't notice a difference if you're putting it on something. I think eating it plain, a lot of people have to do something else with it, just because it's like you said, a little bitter.
It is, and I had trouble doing it like for breakfast, you know, because it was so like bitter. I needed something sweet, so I would usually add like blueberries in there.
Yes, blueberries are another good one too. Berries are really good for people, but that's another one. I also, one of the biggest things I tell people, if you have like a sweet, because I am a really big sweet person, I struggle with that always. So that's why the coconut butter has been a huge game changer for me, because I'm like, this is actually healthy and it's okay. I always tell people in my online groups to buy a bag of Hershey's dark chocolate, like the things you would bake with. And the reason, and to portion them out into a tablespoon. Like, you don't want to grab the whole bag and start eating them because they're really good. But for those moments when you're like, I just need something really sweet, it'll kill a craving like super quick. I used to eat natural peanut butter before I realized that peanut butter was part of my issue. But I would like put my little dark chocolate chips in my peanut butter and eat it. It's so good. So now I do it with almond butter.
Which is probably even better.
It is. It's really good.
Okay, so you're listening to Centralia on Air. Shane and Rachel here, and we're talking with health and fitness coach Jayme Godoyo. Jayme, what are some quick and simple things we can tweak in our life to have healthier lifestyles?
Oh, there's lots of things. We talked a little bit about the nutrition piece of it, just making sure that you're starting to keep an eye on some of those processed foods, those ingredients that have been known to cause things like leaky gut, which a lot of people have and don't realize that. Just limiting alcohol, limiting soda. If you're a soda drinker, come talk to me because I can get you off of that. That's been one of my people in my groups. She's not a soda drinker anymore, and it took like 2 or 3 months. But soda's so not healthy. But yeah, going like just limiting some of those things, trying to, just make tweaks to things. If you're really big, if you really have to have sugar and cream in your coffee, figuring out something different, like putting a little bit of coconut oil or a little bit of liquid stevia, or just changing up some of those habits. Eventually you want to wean yourself off of some of those things. But I do know it's really hard when we have habits of like eating really bad food. I try not to say bad foods because no bad food, but, eating lots of processed food and those kinds of things. As far as like just general health and well-being, parking a little bit, I know people have heard this, but like parking a little bit further away from the store when you go, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, maybe going for a 10-minute walk at lunch. I feel like people a lot of times think you have to go into this mindset of, I need 30 minutes to an hour of exercise a day, and I've got to do it all at one time. And it's really not that. It's more about if you're someone who hasn't had an active lifestyle at all, add 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, and 10 minutes in the evening, or like just span it out so it's not so overwhelming. Eventually you'll work up to doing more because exercise does start to make you feel better and you want to do it more. But just adding some of those components throughout a day is so much more important than just trying to go all or nothing with it, I think. I also suggest listening to or reading personal development, which sometimes people roll their eyes at me like, I don't need that. But I listen to a lot of podcasts that are just like Oprah has one called Super Soul Sunday. There's lots and lots of those, but it just putting it on in the car, a lot of them are like 10 to 15 minutes long, and just listening to that, it just kind of puts your mind in the right place and just makes you a more positive person. And I think that's super helpful in all aspects of your life, not just your health and fitness, but, just general well-being.
Obviously, you'd love to be there coaching someone in person, encouraging them. But what advice do you have for people who have tried to work out or eat healthier in the past and they just fail again and again?
I think a lot of that is mindset, honestly. And like you said, I'd love to be able to see people and do it that way. But I work with so many people online, and there's always an accountability piece and there's always a mindset. So the majority of people who make it through the group are people who they're checking in every single day and they're talking to me regularly, whether that's once a week, once every other week. And I'm really coaching them through whatever the issue is. Like the soda drinker, she's like, anytime she had an excitement, like I made it through the whole day and I only drank one soda. It's like those kinds of things. You have to celebrate small successes, and that's part of the mindset is you've got to really think, well, where was I yesterday, or where was I last week, and where do I want to be 6 months from now? I see a lot of people get frustrated when they say, what's today, January 20 something? By March, I'm going on vacation on spring break and I want to lose 30 pounds. I'm not saying that that's unreasonable, but that's putting a lot of pressure on yourself, just too much. Whereas you could say, I'd really just like to live a healthier lifestyle and maybe lose a few pounds by March. Okay, that we can work with because that few pounds could mean you lose 5. It could mean you lose none. Like, it is what it is. And I just think people put too high of expectations on themselves to just be perfect in all aspects of it. And it's not going to be perfect. There are days that I, eat cheesecake for breakfast and don't follow my intermittent fasting. And then I find myself eating a cheeseburger and having wine at dinner. Like, everyone has those days where it's
cheat
not
day.
Perfect. Also, I don't call them cheat days.
Yeah.
They're either a treat day or a flex day. And that I just started and that's a mindset thing too. Because people were having a trouble with that in my groups. They were like, when I have a cheat day, I feel like it turns into a cheat week. And I'm like, that's because you're cheating. Like, you're telling yourself it's okay to do this. It is okay, but jump back on the horse the next morning. Like, it's okay to have a flex day or a treat, but don't let it turn into this endless vicious cycle where you can't get back.
Yeah,
So.
I like that you turned it into something positive.
Yeah.
So do you take any vitamins, any multivitamins?
I don't. I use a performance line of supplements that are all natural. I'm not very good about using them. Like, I should use them more, but there's an Energize component, which is like a pre-workout, and a post-workout recovery drink. I'm really good about the pre-workout because a lot of times by 5:30 in the evening when I teach a class, I'm not really feeling a workout, but I am not good about the recover, and I should be, because it really does help your muscles not to get sore. But other than that, I really don't. I think a lot of your vitamins and minerals you should be getting from your food, and if you are deficient in some area, like, a doctor should help you figure out what it is, and you should really work with a healthcare provider to find the actual thing that works for you, because a lot of times we go to the store and we find these multivitamins or what we think we need, and then you could be overdosing your body on something that you're getting plenty of through your diet. So,
Okay, so Jayme, tell listeners where they can go find out more about you.
yeah. So I run an online business page. They can find me on Facebook. My name is spelled Jayme Godoyo. But I also have a separate page from that you can just like if you don't want to add me as a friend. It's facebook.com/coach Jayme Godoyo, all one word. And you can like it. You can send me messages, anything that you want to chat about, I'm there. I also am always available by email, and that's Jayme.Godoyo. Again, it's Godoyo @gmail.com.
We have fitness coach Jayme Godoyo in studio today. When we come back, we're going to let Jayme flex some of her brain muscles and quiz her to see how much she really knows about health and fitness. You're listening to Centralia On Air. We'll be right back. Shane and Rachel here. This is Centralia On Air. We have health and fitness expert Jayme Godoyo with us today. All right, Jayme, we're going to ask you some questions about healthy and maybe not so healthy living.
Okay.
You ready?
I think so.
Question 1. Which of these vegetables is the best source of calcium? Is it broccoli, kale, or collard greens?
Of calcium? That's really interesting.
We thought so.
This is going to be one of those tricky ones, isn't it?
Go with your gut.
What was the first one?
Broccoli.
Let's go with broccoli.
You're going to go with broccoli, huh?
Yeah.
It's not broccoli.
Is it kale?
No.
This
Collard
is terrible.
greens, right?
Who eats that?
1 cup, a 1 cup serving offers 357 milligrams of calcium, more
Wow.
than double the other two,
Interesting.
right?
Guess I'm going to have to eat some collard greens.
Okay, question 2. What vitamin is commonly referred to as the sunshine vitamin?
Oh, vitamin D.
You got it.
Yep.
Not
peasy.
Most
Yep.
people in this area do not have enough of that.
Yeah.
Right? So, it is estimated that sun exposure on the skin for 5 to 10 minutes, 2 to 3 times per week, allows most people to produce sufficient vitamin D. But vitamin D breaks down quickly, meaning that your body can run low in the winter.
It's true.
Like right now.
Yep.
Right now, I'm low on it.
Same.
Bonus question. Which superhero is famous for getting their power from the sun?
Oh, from the sun?
I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Illinois.
Oh, is it Superman?
You got it.
Yes.
Metropolis. That's in Illinois, right?
Yeah.
I think. Otherwise, that was a bad hint.
No, it was a good hint. I got it.
Right, good. Okay, question 3. Lifting weights is a popular way to get in shape. The most common free weights are dumbbells. Mm-hmm. Where did the name dumbbell come from? Was it England, France, or America?
I'm going to guess America.
No, England. In like the 1700s.
I was going to say, it's got to be one of the English,
sure,
places,
right.
but interesting. I wonder, so what does it mean?
I don't know.
I was throwing it back at him.
Wikipedia.
Gotcha.
It was like the 1700s. This poet, author, it's like one of the first recorded times dumbbell.
Huh.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I would not have known that.
Okay, question 4. On average, how long does it usually take for the body to metabolize a 12-ounce can of beer? About 30 minutes, about an hour, or about 6 hours?
For one can?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 6, although I'm thinking it depends on the body weight of the person.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is why I almost put average person, average can, average beer.
Right.
Gotcha.
There's so many variables. You're right.
Yeah.
But, okay, final answer.
6.
An hour.
It's an hour.
Okay, so here's my fun fact.
Okay.
At any given time, 0.7% of the world is drunk. So about 50 million people are drunk right now.
Wow.
Yikes. All right, last one. You've told us all about how to live healthier and take care of ourselves. So this question is, of course, the exact opposite. It's about death, right?
Oh, no.
Which one would kill a person first? Lack of sleep or lack of food?
Lack of sleep.
You got it. Death by starvation can take a few weeks, but as far as how long you can go without sleep, it's like 264 hours, about 11 days.
That's longer than I would have thought.
Yeah, me too. But some guy died. It was in the news.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, how'd she do?
Well, out of 6 questions, she got 3 right.
All right. That's fair.
Well, still a winner in our book.
That's right.
Well, thank you,
We
guys.
grade on a curve.
Okay, Jayme, thank you so much for playing, and thank you for being here, and we hope you come back again.
Yeah, thank you both. I appreciate it.
Stick around. We'll be right back. You're listening to Centralia on Air.
Okay, here's a look at your community calendar. The Salem Community Theater is proud to present Southern Fried Funeral, February 1st through the 3rd. Tickets are $10. Centralia BPW invites you to Groundhog's Day Trivia Night on February 2nd at the Centralia Elks Lodge. Doors open at 6 and game starts at 7. Top 3 teams win cash, 50-50 tickets, over 20 baskets to be raffled, cash bar available, and you can bring your own snacks. You can bring up to 8 players for your team, and the entry fee is $80. To register, contact Carrie at 315-8479. Not your grandma's bingo. Glow Bingo at St. Teresa's School on Friday, February 9th. Doors open at 6 and bingo will start at 7. 50-50 raffle and over $1,000 in cash prizes. $20 per person in advance. To register, call Melissa at 548-5771. For more information, you can visit stteresagradeschool.com. Benefit for Glenda Evans on Saturday, February 10th from 3 to 11 at the Salem Elks. There will be 50-50 drawing, food, silent auction, music by Josh Tate and also by John Spicer and the Fight Inside Band. It's time to test your knowledge at St. Mary's School, hosting a trivia night on Saturday, February 17th at the school gym. You can bring up to 8 players for your team and the entry fee is $80 per table. Doors will open at 6 and the game will start at 7. Call the school office today to register your team. 5th Annual Tiger Trek 5K and 2.5K Dog Walk on Saturday, February 24th, starting at 9 a.m. at Centralia Junior High. Registration forms may be found at CJHS And looking at your local blood drives this week, Monday, January 29th, Raccoon Elementary from 2 to 6. Tuesday, January 30th at Kaskaskia College Education Center in Salem from 10 to 2. Thursday, February 1st at Crossroads Community Hospital in Mount Vernon from 7 to 5. Friday, February 2nd at Centralia Junior High School, 2:30 to 6:30. And on Friday, February 2nd, Odin Public School from 1 to 5. And that's a look at your community calendar on X95 in the Big 1210. If you have an event you would like to share with us, you can email WILY1210@gmail.com. You can also take a look at our community calendar page on x95radio.com. Okay, Shane, and anything else?
Yes, Marion County 4-H is hosting a trivia night Saturday, February 3rd at 6:30 at the First Christian Church in Salem. Call 548-1446 to register your team. All right, I think that's about all the time we have this week. Come back and join us. You can hear us every Sunday at 11. She's Rachel Roddy.
And he's Shane Lothar.
And this is Centralia On Air.